Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Melanie Manke, and I welcome you warmly to the third INIT live report today on how to manage occupancy rate. In today's world, it is one of the main challenges for public transport companies to ensure that their vehicles are not overcrowded. And one means to do so is to provide the passengers with the vehicle's expected occupancy rates. Not only on platforms, but even before their trips, for example via app. And this can give them the opportunity to choose a less crowded connection. So today you will learn about INIT's crowd management system mobile guide. And this lecture will be held by two of INIT's experts for crowd management. Key account manager Georg König and team manager sales, Johannes Käppeler. Thank you. So, Johannes, Georg, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Melanie, for having us today. You're right, 2020 has been quite a challenging year. We remember we started in the springtime, we started with a lockdown. A lot of things have become normal to us, like home office, or if you remember, if you forget one of those, going to the bakery. These are one of our utensils that we need every day. The public transport organizations also, they are facing challenges because the ridership has been decreasing, the revenues has been decreasing. So my question is, the first question, how can we help the PTOs to that they can regain the trust for their passengers in the system?
Yeah, thank you, Georg. I think you said a key word already. Regaining trust into public transport is one of the main challenges today. And I think one puzzle tile, besides your mask over there, can be to provide passengers the occupancy rate of a journey. And then if we look at the journey of a passenger, it always starts at the planning phase. So, for example, I do have an appointment in the city at 7 o'clock in the evening, and I would like to go there by bus, for example. I would like to know right now what will be the estimated occupancy rate of the bus I'm going to use in the evening. Another point would be to provide real-time data to the passenger when he's really undertaking a journey. So, for example, if I'm at the platform station, I would like to know what is the current situation, what is the current occupancy rate situation in the bus right now.
But that would basically mean that for the prognosis comes for these different situations from different sources. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So, for example, getting back to my example, planning a trip for the evening. Right now, I'm not interested about the real-time occupancy rate of any trip right now because I'm not using public transport. But I need an estimation of what will be the situation so I can really plan for the evening. Is there an alternative? Can I take another bus? Is there something I can do and shift my appointment, for example? But when I'm at the station, plan data is plan data, but real-time data is real-time data. So I really would like to know what is the current situation. So this information, this occupancy rate information is provided by two different sources.
Okay. Well, the thing is, these occupancy rates are not only good for the passengers who are using the systems, but it can also be helpful for the dispatcher. I'm using the example in Oslo, for example, where we have a large APC fleet. And what we do there is we do not only display the occupancy rate to the dispatcher, but also the percentage completion of the trip. Because if the bus, for example, has already fulfilled 95% of its trip and it's full, it's very unlikely that the dispatcher can take a dispositive action that would make sense. On the other hand, if a dispatcher sees that 5 or 10% of the trip has only been conducted by the bus and it's already full, and if he has the possibility, then they can send, for example, a support vehicle. And so that makes actually sense also on the central side. But well, not everybody is in lucky situation to have 100% equipped with APC. So what can people do that, or what can public transport authorities do that only have maybe, let's say, 20% of their buses equipped or vehicles equipped?
Absolutely, that's the point. Of course, you said APC sensors can be used to count passengers, but also different sources. Like if you have a fare collection system, so a check-in, check-out system, a be-in, be-out system. So you check into the bus via your Oyster card, for example, then you know, okay, somebody is in the bus, somebody is checking out, you know, he's out, and with this system you can count passengers. Also, some public transport authorities or operators offer free Wi-Fi connection for your mobile device. So you're getting into the bus and your device automatically connects with the Wi-Fi. So we know how many devices are logged on, and based on that information you can have the real-time occupancy rate as well. But if you have none of those technologies right now in use, it's also possible to support the driver. In its little co-pilot, for example, we can provide several buttons there, additional buttons, where he can just look into the mirror and see, okay, right now the bus is almost empty. So we give him a green button, which means 0 to 25% of the seats are taken in the bus, and so on, and 25 to 50, and it's full or it's even overcrowded. So each time the bus leaves the station, the driver looks into the mirror and sees, okay, it's half full, yellow button, push the button, and this information gets right out to the central side, but also can be provided to passengers.
So that's important to gather all this information, not only for the passengers, not only for the dispatcher, but also to gather it in statistic. It makes sense out of it, because there you can actually react to the new situation that we're facing right now. I mean, you're the team manager and mobile plan, so you use these, I suppose you use these occupancy rates for your planning?
Absolutely. So what we can do is we can not only use this real-time data in real time, but also for the estimation in the future. So we take this data out of statistic and import it into our scheduling system and allocate the occupancy rates to the trips or to the trip sections, for example, and make the estimation even better. And this is a multiple step way we can undertake there. First, if you do have nothing at all, you have an estimation by your planner. They're quite good. The planners know about quite well their public transport offer. But in the next step, you make this re-import via a loop into the scheduling system. And in this way, we can constantly improve the estimation for the passenger who is planning a journey in advance. Absolutely, yeah.
So it's basically safe to say that if we have prognosis from different sources, it's much better than having none.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter,
Absolutely.
even if you, as you've said, with pushing the buttons for the drivers, it's just an estimate, but it's better than nothing, because...
yeah, and I think we have to face this COVID-19 right now. It's we're challenging with it right now, not in 2 years, hopefully not in 2 years anymore, but right now we are changing. We are facing this challenge, and we need to deliver a solution which can be implemented in a very quick way. And I think this is a first approach to make this estimation and to regain trust into public transport, because that's what we're talking about. We would like to gain trust again into public transport, that more people use public transport in the future, in the near future.
So it's also very important, I believe, that the prognosis comes in at a timely manner. Now, when we talk about metro systems, for example, we have a totally different situation there, because the trains consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 8 cars. And what we can observe there, that mostly the trains are distributed unevenly with the passengers. That depends on the geometry of the stations. Usually where they come down the stairs, that's where the people step in, and the front and the end of the vehicles is usually not so crowded. And there we have the possibility to disperse these people and guide them to places where they can find free spaces. I think that's very important. that we get the prognosis in a timely manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Important is once a train gets actually into the station, what we do is we take the actual car load when the train gets in, and from the history we know how many people are getting off at that station, because that's a very important information. If you're, for example, at a hub where 50 to 60 people leave the train, that's an additional space for people who are waiting to get into the train, and that's what I'm saying. That's very important that you adjust your prognosis and give it in a timely manner to the passenger.
So what you're basically saying is that we use the real-time data, so the real-time occupancy rate of the vehicle, and combine it with historical data. So because we know from the history how many passengers delight of the train, and based on this information, even if the train which arrives is overcrowded, we can display the passengers at the station, a green light at a certain point, because we know, okay, it's crowded right now, but based on our historical data, we know everybody's going out. So, and that is basically the best information you can provide to a passenger, because it's not important for me what the occupancy rate is when the train arrives, but what is my situation when I'm entering the train. So.
One thing we should also take into consideration is singular events that we need to take a look at.
Yeah. Like football.
Football, for example,
Yeah.
or just weather conditions. If you take a look at the weather conditions outside, if it's raining, for example, in Karlsruhe, a lot of students take their bicycles. And when it's raining, of course, they don't. They take their semester tickets, and then unusually on these days, the trams get more and more crowded. This is something you can learn, as you've said, in Mobile Loop. You can see that actually. What happens if it's a rainy day? What happens if it's a sunny day?
If it's a rainy day, I probably stay longer in the office and wait until it's over. And you need
or you
to
don't
take
go in the office.
I certainly have to, but you know what I mean. I mean, then I stay a little bit longer, and everybody shifts their plans to go home by half an hour or an hour or something like that. Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. It's the same thing with soccer games.
Yeah.
If you go in overtime, what happens?
So, and what you're saying is that the prognosis must be correct, so that people trust in the prognosis. If you deliver any kind of prognosis, they will probably look at this and say, okay, this is a useful information, but it's wrong, and then they will not use it anymore. Correct. So, and this is why we need to take into account those special events, weather conditions, football games.
Correct.
Yeah, I think this is an important point, but we've been talking about COVID-19. But so far, I can also see that this is not only a pandemic-related topic. I mean, you talked about the uneven distribution of metro systems.
Right. Well, it's a matter of using your existing resources in the best way, because, of course, you cannot enlarge your stations without substantial investments. You cannot make the trains go a lot faster. So the only thing is you can do is take the existing resources and use them in the optimal way. And that's how you disperse the passengers or show them the way where they can find their new spaces.
I mean, you cannot increase the cars or the trains in the metro environment, because if you have a headway of 2 minutes or even less, the capacity is at the edge. But I can also imagine that crowdiness at the platform station is also a point. That, I mean, if you go, you mentioned it, the geography is very important when it comes to boarding the vehicle. Everybody stays where the stairs are. And if you have a signal system at the edge, for example, then you distribute also not only in the vehicle, but also on your platform. And you can increase comfort for passengers there as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, we have to. We're not magicians, of course. And then if we are in peak times and you see these pictures in Hong Kong, how people are squeezing in, there's nothing you can do. No system in the world can do anything about that. But if you alleviate the situation in the off-peak hours, then the peak hours will be shorter as well. And so that's an economical factor, because what happens if the if the dwell time of the train of people going in and out is too long, successor trains might not get in.
Yeah.
And that will lead to a chain reaction.
Yeah.
So it's very important. Even small changes can make a big, huge difference in such systems. And I think also, apart from the pandemic, space itself for personal space becomes a much more important value for the passengers. Today, I believe every person would go an extra 20 or 30 meters if they're being shown, all right, that's where you go in. I guess a year ago, if you go 3 stations, you squeeze in, you don't care, you go out in 3 stations. But in those days, I believe that it has changed, values have changed.
Yeah, and you get used to it, to have more space around you. You might feel not so comfortable having somebody who might have only a cold, something like that, around you. I totally agree. But we were talking about the metro system and the combination of real-time data and plan data. But this can also be used for buses, for example. Absolutely. I mean, of course, you have mostly 2 or 3 entrances of a bus. You have a smaller station. But still, if the bus arrives, for example, at the main station, everybody gets out, and still this information, this bus will be empty when I'm boarding. It can also be of value for me.
Correct. As you've mentioned before, also with Wi-Fi sniffing, there we can see actually the travel patterns of the origin and destination of the people. And of course, if you have 10 stations and station number 5 is a hospital, and in the morning a lot of doctors are taking that, it's very likely that they probably get out at the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or elderly people, for example, with our sensors, we're able to record or detect wheelchairs, for example, or bicycles. So that's also valuable information.
Absolutely. Georg, I think this is a very interesting topic. I'm kind of sad that we have to be alone here and not with you out there talking on our booth in Karlsruhe. But we're happy that we have this possibility even to talk to each other and to stream it out into the world. I really like this conversation with you. I would also like to get in touch with you if you have any question or would like to know more about our mobile guide solutions. Please feel free to contact Georg or me. We're happy to inform you with further information.
Tomorrow, I believe, there's the next live report. It's about electromobility.
Electromobility is tomorrow, yeah. Okay. I will welcome you there again. I'm very happy to do that. And yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.